All right, I got to introduce this. So, amnesty bill HR 5038 passed yesterday with 34 Republicans voting for it. If you don't know about this, you should read up on it. It's passed the House. That means it goes to the Senate. And if it passes the Senate, they go to negotiations. Then it goes to Trump's desk for signature. Hopefully, the Senate will not pass this ridiculous piece of garbage legislation, which essentially says they're going to provide amnesty for agricultural workers. They're going to give them allegedly 6 to 10 years, basically as an indentured servant for these huge ag companies, which is an absolute joke. I mean, we've seen other countries have gone to monetization of their agricultural industries. You can, so there's products that are available to harvest these fruits and vegetables, but this big fat cuck Republican from California and his ilk, I don't know what, I'm speechless as to how this passes. And every one of these people needs to be repealed from office. I mean, you want to impeach somebody, impeach Doug LaMalfa, this big fat loser. And then he's insinuating that people would rather play Xbox than go outside and work. This is from the Columbia Bugle. Really, people don't want to, he claims that people don't want to do this. No, Doug, nice name, Boomer Doug. No, Boomer Doug. People don't want to do work they don't want to go out in the fields in the beating hot sun at 110-degree heat and pick vegetables for $5 a bucket. That's what people don't want to do. You fucking boomer. Grab yourself up by the bootstraps, hey, boomer? Let's listen to this retard and see what he has to say.
Years myself in this era here of a divided Congress, a divided country, this has been a unique opportunity to have a true
green cards for documented farm workers
to a long time, decades-old problem. So I'm proud of the...
So Redding, Chico, and Susanville, which is actually a pretty solid Republican area. This guy is an absolute disgrace. Chico's where they have a lot of weed and drugs and degeneracy up there. But Redding is a pretty red area for California.
Many of us have been able to get in the room as members, as staff, over many months to come to an agreement that is a pretty darn good solution towards an ongoing problem. This isn't a border bill. This isn't a DACA bill. It's not a fence bill or an amnesty bill. This is a narrow bill having to do with having a stable workforce for agriculture in this country.
Now, like I said, that's ridiculous. You don't need people, indentured servants. And it's bad enough that they let illegal immigrants in and do work. And it's bad enough for them because basically they're slaves. It's basically slave labor. You sit out there in the hot sun, 100-degree heat, and you pick berries for these fucking assholes that are millionaires for $5 a bucket. It's, the Young Turks had and I don't listen to them, but on any regularity whatsoever, but I saw they had a news segment on their show that in Texas, some people that were chosen to pick onions, they turned out, when they did the math, they made like 11 cents an hour, and they lived in the back of a school bus and they're freezing. It's a no good deal for anybody, and people like this who are bought and paid for. Republican. This is why I hate Republicans right here. This piece of shit. This fucking human filth.
I come from California. So
no
many
kidding.
of the crops are very labor intensive. And I'm a farmer myself. I don't benefit from this bill. We don't need that kind of labor, just to disclose. But so many crops
well, why do they?
From California and others like that, the truck crops, the intensely labor needful crops.
You're trying to say labor intensive, Doug? You idiot. Clowns like this, they get in there and they can't speak because they're just bought and paid for. You get a guy from Redding, Chico, and, it's a bunch of Republicans up there, like regular people. They just don't pay attention. And then they sneak this guy in here and they pay this guy off to vote for this shit.
Disappear. We will end up importing them from somewhere else if we don't have this workforce.
No, you idiot. What they'll do is they'll buy machinery, which needs people that are skilled in order to operate them, like truck drivers and construction workers that are operators, that they make a good living. They can get into union. They can get good wages. And they machinists. They need people to do maintenance on these things, so mechanics. So it is, you know, you're actually hiring and creating jobs by doing this. You're not importing cheap labor just so you people can live in mansions. This is what they do. They live in mansions. I can show you all over the Central Valley. You'll drive around, there's nothing but fields and fields, and all of a sudden you come across a mansion. It's ridiculous.
Continues. This bill makes for a legal workforce. A documented
legal,
workforce.
just make it
Why
legal.
wouldn't we want that? But heaven knows, you say the word amnesty, people go running for the hills.
Why do you think that is, Doug?
This is not an amnesty bill. How could it be when it has benchmarks for the certified ag workers to come in to be vetted before they get that certification?
Yeah, okay.
To have benchmarks to become a legal permanent resident. And yes, at the very...
You hear he said? It has benchmarks to be a legal permanent resident. So there's people you see out in the fields that are picking beans, that are picking oranges for $5 a bucket. They're going to make them legal residents. Because Americans are too lazy to work for $5 a fucking bucket. Quote unquote lazy. This is ridiculous, this guy. It's not amnesty, and then he goes on to describe how it is amnesty.
Far in, there is an opportunity for citizenship that the way the process works would probably take 18 to 20 years to accomplish.
Yeah, we heard that before, too, under Reagan. We heard that before. Well, it's going to take a long time. No, it won't.
So for those that are really concerned about it being a handout for citizenship or whatever, it's still a steep hill, but also, by and large, most American people would look at these ag workers are pretty good people. They're not perfect. There's issues.
Some, I assume, are good people. This fucking guy. Oh, there's some problems. Really? There's some problems? Why don't you ask Kate Steinle about that? Or what was that? There was one murdered in Iowa by one of their wonderful temporary workers. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Here and there. But they're providing a needed service that I don't see a lot of Americans being willing to do.
Oh, here we go. Americans aren't willing to do it.
Not in this age of Xbox and all these other things where nobody's willing to go outside.
You mean in this age of where people want health care, you know, and people want actual decent wages for a job rather than $5 a bucket, you fat fuck. $5 a bucket, we're supposed to go out there under the 100-degree sun, and you think that's okay. Oh, you Americans won't do it. I hear this all the time about these, you know, the beloved small businesses. They used to call in on these conservative talk shows and say, oh, I can't get anybody to work. And you ask them, well, what are you paying? Oh, $10 an hour to do landscape. Well, fuck you. Nobody wants to do landscape for $10 an hour. Are you kidding me? You can work at Target for 12 or 14 and get health care. Are you fucking kidding me? Americans won't do it because they're playing Xbox. Yeah, go out in the sun for 8-10 hours a day and live in the back of a fucking school bus. Make 11 cents an hour picking onions. No, Americans won't do that, Doug. No, Americans are not going to do that. They're not going to do back-breaking labor for fucking nothing, you fucking retard.
I've worked a lot of years myself in the heat and the sun and all that.
Oh, yeah, here we go. So that's a total, I like that, you know. So he went out and he picked rocks 3 times in the summer. That's what he did. That's what Doug here did. He made cash under the table to go out and pick rocks in fields. And he thinks that's the same as a fucking career. No, Doug, you did that when you were 16 years old. That's not a career. That's why these family farmers have lots of children so they can do that type of thing. But it's temporary. That doesn't mean you pick, 800 acres worth of berries for a career, for your livelihood. That's not a livelihood, you dumb shit.
It's not even as tough as some of the other crops. But for what we're talking about, we really need to move forward. This will help our dairies who need year-round labor.
Dairies need year-round labor, but they don't need illegal immigrants. You have to, my God. I know countless dairy farmers, not a one of them hires an illegal immigrant. Okay? So that's bullshit. Complete bullshit there, Doug. Dairy farmers don't need this. You milk the cows. You're going to hire an illegal immigrant to do that? Or you're going to have your kid do it, or you do it yourself? It's a family farm. They call it a family farm for a reason, Doug.
We're losing our dairies in California. We're going to lose dairies in our country. It helps so much.
Oh, we're not.
let's talk about the workers themselves.
Wow, how do they do that for, 100 years without illegal immigrants?
For a moment. How humane is it for the process by which they have to come across the border, pay these people horrendous amounts of money, and
Did he lose his train of thought? How humane is it? How humane is it for people to work out at 100-degree heat and pay them $5 a bucket? How humane is that, Doug? Basically, this bill makes them indentured servants for 6 years. They can't go out, they can't leave. And then you're going to give them citizenship, which is going to turn out great.
Issues that they're subject to in coming across. No, we don't want that. We don't want them coming across illegal. We want them coming across with a certificate that they've been vetted. This bill has E-Verify.
You're not vetting anybody.
How big a thing is that for Republicans, for conservatives, or people across the country? When this is phased in, we'll have a very good process for verifying who it is that's coming in to do this work.
Are you kidding me? You're going to have a process of vetting? Yeah. No, you're not. You're not going to vet these people. Fuck off.
We desperately need the labor.
No, you don't need the labor. You need machinery. You can use the same arguments for keeping slavery. That's the funny thing. And which is basically what this is. This is an argument for slavery by fat cats and people bought off like Doug here, the dunce.
It's been a long process. It'll be a long process to continue to bring the labor force in. But I think if we...
Gentleman's time's expired.
If we want to be here 10 years from now still dealing with this, then let's go no on this bill. But if we want to make a solution, this is one that we can get right now in this atmosphere.
What a pile of shit.
Gentlelady